The promotion was supposed to be the culmination of my career. After 30 tireless years as a senior financial analyst at Sterling Innovations, Inc. in Boston, Massachusetts, I was finally set to ascend to the role of Chief Financial Officer. My retirement was just 5 years away in 2029, and this position would secure my legacy and my family's future. The official announcement was scheduled for June 14th, 2024. I'd poured my life into this company, built its financial backbone, navigated it through recessions and market surges. This was my earned reward. Then the email landed. It wasn't the congratulatory message I expected. Instead, it was a cold, formal notification from Human Resources. My promotion was being put on hold indefinitely. The new CFO, effective immediately, would be Mark Thorne. Mark, my protégé. The man I'd mentored for the last 5 years, brought into the company, taught everything I knew. My hands trembled as I read the words. It felt like a punch to the gut. Moments later, my phone buzzed. It was Eleanor, my wife. "Did you see?" she whispered, her voice tight with disbelief. "Mark just posted on LinkedIn thanking the board for his promotion. Not a word about you." The betrayal was immediate, sharp, and profoundly personal. Mark wasn't just taking my promotion. He was erasing my entire contribution, seizing my career's pinnacle. This wasn't merely a corporate decision. It was a cold, calculated usurpation, a direct threat to my professional integrity and my meticulously planned retirement, orchestrated by the one person I had trusted implicitly within those corporate walls. For 3 decades, David Davies, a dedicated senior financial analyst at Sterling Innovations, Inc., in the bustling financial hub of Boston, Massachusetts, genuinely believed I had meticulously constructed an unshakable professional life. My career was more than just a job. It was the very bedrock of my identity, a testament to my unwavering commitment and sharp analytical mind. I had navigated the volatile currents of the market, built complex financial models, and guided Sterling Innovations through countless economic challenges, seeing it grow from a promising startup into a multi-billion-dollar enterprise by 2024. My promotion to Chief Financial Officer, slated for June 2024, wasn't just a career advancement. It was the culmination of 3 decades of tireless effort, a strategic move to secure my legacy and my family's future before my planned retirement in 2029. This position represented the pinnacle of my professional journey, an earned reward for unwavering loyalty and invaluable contributions. Then, imperceptibly at first, subtle shifts began to ripple through the seemingly placid surface of my corporate world. Mark Thorne, a brilliant but ambitious young financial strategist, joined my team 5 years ago. I took him under my wing, seeing a younger version of myself in his eager eyes. I mentored him, shared proprietary insights, introduced him to my vast network of contacts, and patiently taught him the intricate nuances of Sterling Innovations' complex financial ecosystem. He was my protégé, my trusted second in command, the one I envisioned taking over my department when I finally stepped into the CFO role. My trust in Mark was absolute, a profound and unwavering belief in his loyalty and professional ethics, a bond forged through countless late nights working side by side, overcoming demanding deadlines. Yet, despite my conscious efforts to rationalize, these subtle shifts, a persistent, nagging whisper of unease, began to echo in the quiet corners of my mind. Mark's ambition, once a commendable trait, began to feel less like drive and more like a barely concealed hunger. His private meetings with board members, initially explained as networking I had encouraged, grew in frequency and secrecy. His phone calls, once openly discussed, became hushed conversations taken in deserted hallways. I dismissed these changes as typical career progression, telling myself that a bright young talent like Mark needed to assert himself, that it was natural for him to build his own relationships within the company. I was a mentor, after all. Seeing him thrive was supposed to be a point of pride. But the whisper persisted, a low, insistent hum beneath the surface of my consciousness, making me feel subtly off-kilter, as if the ground beneath my feet, the very foundation of my career, was no longer as solid as it once was. The first real crack in this foundation appeared during a crucial board presentation in April 2024. It was a complex financial projection. I had meticulously prepared, months of work distilled into a single high-stakes briefing. Mark, who was supposed to simply assist with the slides, subtly interjected, taking credit for key analytical breakthroughs that were unmistakably mine. He presented some of my most innovative financial models as his own, casually attributing them to our team's recent breakthroughs. He even hinted that some of my long-standing, robust models were outdated. The blatant audacity of it left me stunned, momentarily speechless. I tried to dismiss it, to tell myself he was just an eager junior trying to impress, but the cold, calculating glint in his eye as he glanced at me for a fleeting second spoke volumes. My gut tightened, but the full weight of betrayal only crushed me when I received that dreaded email on June 14th, 2024. It wasn't the congratulatory message I had anticipated, the culmination of 30 years of unwavering dedication. Instead, it was a terse and personal notification from Human Resources. My promotion to Chief Financial Officer was being put on hold indefinitely. The new CFO, effective immediately, would be Mark Thorne, my protégé, the man I brought into the company, taught everything I knew, opened doors for. My hands trembled as I reread the words, each one a hammer blow to my professional soul. It felt like a physical punch to the gut, swift and brutal. Moments later, my phone buzzed. It was Eleanor, my wife of 30 years, her voice tight with disbelief and a tremor of fear. "David, did you see?" She whispered. "Mark just posted on LinkedIn, publicly thanking the board for his promotion. Not a single word about you. Not a mention of your mentorship, your guidance, your years of experience." The betrayal was immediate, sharp, and profoundly personal. Mark wasn't just taking my promotion. He was deliberately erasing my entire contribution, seizing my career's pinnacle, all while erasing my very existence from the company's narrative. This wasn't merely a routine corporate decision. It was a cold, calculated usurpation, a direct, malicious threat to my professional integrity and my meticulously planned retirement, orchestrated by the one person I had trusted implicitly within. Those corporate walls, the very person I had groomed for success. My world, which I had so meticulously built on trust and a lifetime of hard work, began to crumble beneath my feet, revealing a chasm of corporate betrayal I hadn't dared to imagine. Initial shock of being blindsided by Mark's betrayal quickly solidified into a cold, simmering fury that burned deep within me. The rage I felt wasn't explosive, but a profound, chilling anger, far more dangerous than any outward outburst. It was the same icy calm that had consumed me during my first wife's infidelity years ago, only now it was amplified by the blatant disrespect for my decades of professional loyalty and the direct threat to my financial security and retirement. Sleep became a distant memory. Every thought was consumed by the image of Mark's smirking face on LinkedIn, his deliberate omission of my name, and the bitter taste of an ambition so ruthless it consumed everything in its path. My mind, usually focused on complex financial models, now worked tirelessly, dissecting every past interaction with Mark, every seemingly innocent question he'd asked, every strategic move he'd made, all illuminated by the horrifying light of his calculated treachery. I feigned normalcy at the office for a few agonizing days, maintaining a polite, if distant, demeanor with colleagues. But inside, a complex, silent investigation had already begun. My first step was to discreetly secure every piece of intellectual property I had developed during my tenure. As a senior financial analyst, my work involved complex proprietary algorithms and forecasting models. Over the next few days, under the guise of transitioning my projects, I meticulously downloaded and backed up every single line of code, every unique formula, every piece of data that was undeniably my intellectual property. This was not just about protecting my work. It was about securing the ammunition I would need to expose his plagiarism. Next, I initiated a deep dive into Mark's professional history, far beyond the surface-level checks HR had conducted years ago. I leveraged my extensive network of contacts, cultivated over 3 decades in Boston's corporate landscape. I reached out to former colleagues from his previous companies, subtly probing for insights into his past behavior, his work ethic, his integrity. The information that began to trickle in, then pour, was even more damning than I'd anticipated. I uncovered a pattern of unethical behavior, minor instances of data manipulation, exaggerated accomplishments on his resume, even a veiled accusation of intellectual property theft from a struggling startup he'd worked at in 2019, which had been quietly settled out of court. This wasn't just a one-off betrayal. It was a deeply ingrained character flaw, a consistent pattern of climbing over others for personal gain. He wasn't just ambitious. He was a corporate predator. The chilling conversations I'd overheard from Sarah and David years ago, where they plotted to paint me as emotionally unstable, now replayed in my mind. Mark was using a similar playbook, isolating me, undermining my reputation, presenting me as an impediment. My focus sharpened. If he could steal my intellectual property, exaggerate his accomplishments, and charm the board, he could also be financially compromised. I used my skills as a retired corporate finance director to anonymously flag his recent financial activities to an old contact at the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, FinCEN. I provided general suspicions about inflated personal expenses and unusual offshore transfers, knowing that a deeper investigation would follow the paper trail. This wasn't just about exposing his plagiarism. It was about uncovering a potentially larger web of financial malfeasance that could bring his entire facade crashing down. My revenge wouldn't be loud. It would be devastatingly silent, but it would ensure my professional dignity, secure my retirement, and expose the full extent of this new, terrifying executive threat. Every piece of evidence I gathered, every hidden transaction I uncovered, every chilling detail of his past fueled my determination to ensure that his carefully constructed corporate ladder would come crashing down. Not with a bang, but with a quiet, undeniable implosion. The moment of reckoning arrived on a crisp late September 2024 afternoon. Not in a grand public spectacle I orchestrated, but within the seemingly routine confines of the quarterly Sterling Innovations, Inc. board meeting in Boston. This was Mark Thorne's first full board presentation as Chief Financial Officer, a crucial moment for him to solidify his position and outline his vision. The atmosphere in the executive boardroom, usually hushed and formal, was thick with a palpable tension, a quiet anticipation for Mark's performance. Eleanor, my wife, was not present, but I knew she would be eagerly awaiting news of Mark's triumph, a victory she likely saw as her own. I, as a former senior leader still under contract for a transition period, was present as an observer, a silent sentinel at my own undoing. Mark moved through his slides with an air of practiced confidence, his voice smooth, his demeanor polished. He spoke of his innovative strategies, his projections, his future vision for the company's financial growth. Every word was a calculated, slight, every graph a subtle appropriation of my legacy dot as Mark concluded his presentation. A polite round of applause filled the room. The chairman of the board, Mr. Harrison, a man I had known for decades, cleared his throat, ready to open the floor for questions. This was it. the culmination of weeks of silent suffering, meticulous planning, and chilling discovery. The moment of truth finally had arrived. With a practiced, almost imperceptible movement, I adjusted the small, high-fidelity audio recorder I had concealed in my suit pocket. The device was not just for recording. It was also subtly connected to the conference room's main projector. Before we proceed to questions, Mr. Chairman, I interjected calmly, my voice cutting through the polite murmurs, startling in its unexpected interruption. All eyes, which had been fixed on Mark, swiveled towards me, a mix of curiosity and annoyance. On their faces, I just have a small supplementary presentation, a final financial insight, if you will. A collective hush fell over the room, an abrupt, weighty silence. Mark's eyes narrowed, sensing my unusual tone, a flicker of apprehension crossing his face. Before he could object, I pressed the discreet button. The large projector screen moments before displaying Mark's final self-congratulatory slide flickered. Then it displayed a series of emails and documents. The first image was a side-by-side comparison. Mark's resume submitted to Sterling Innovations 5 years ago, next to a detailed report from FinCEN outlining his quiet settlement of a non-covenant intellectual property theft lawsuit from a previous company in 2019. The board members gasped audibly. Then a voice filled the room, Mark's own voice from one of my covert recordings, discussing with an unknown party how he had adapted my proprietary financial models, claiming them as his own during his interview process. Davies won't even see it coming, his recorded voice chuckled, echoing eerily through the executive boardroom. The audio then transitioned to his arrogant private conversations with external contacts, detailing how he was systematically undermining my reputation to the board, presenting my long-standing, robust models as outdated and painting me as resistant to change. The recording was pristine, every word, every callous laugh, every nuance of his cold-blooded plotting, perfectly audible. Utterly undeniable. The polite smiles vanished from every face in the boardroom as if wiped clean by an invisible hand. Mark's face, initially flushed with the confidence of his presentation, drained completely of color, turning a sickly white, then a furious crimson. His arrogant smirk vanished, replaced by a terrified, open-mouthed stare. Mr. Harrison, the chairman, his face a mask of disbelief and profound anger, gripped the table tightly. The clinking of pens and shuffling of papers stopped entirely, leaving only the chilling voices from the recording to fill the suffocating silence. Other board members exchanged horrified glances, their expressions a mix of shock and disgust. Then, the presentation shifted to the next slide, a detailed financial ledger. It showed a series of suspicious, large transfers from Mark's personal accounts to various offshore entities, dating back to late 2023, with a final massive transfer made just weeks before his promotion. This was accompanied by an anonymous tip report to FinCEN, detailing suspected money laundering and illicit financial activities tied to Mark's previous consulting ventures. This was the result of my anonymous call, confirmed and investigated by financial authorities. I looked directly at Mark, my voice steady, devoid of any raw emotion, infused only with cold, irrefutable truth. Mr. Thorne, I stated, each word a hammer blow, you are not merely unqualified for this position, you are a criminal. You stole my intellectual property, you systematically sabotaged my career, and you have engaged in illicit financial activities that threaten the very integrity of Sterling Innovations. I then turned to the stunned board members. This isn't about professional rivalry. It's about fraud, unethical conduct, and a profound breach of trust. The gasp from the assembled board was audible, a collective intake of breath. Mark recoiled, as if slapped, his eyes wide with terror and dawning realization. He stammered, attempting to speak, but no words came out. The silence that followed was suffocating, broken only by the sharp, authoritative voice of Mr. Harrison, the chairman, who slammed his fist on the table. "Security," he roared. "Escort Mr. Thorne from the premises. Effective immediately, your employment, Mr. Thorne, is terminated. And Mr. Davies," he added, turning to me, his voice now filled with a new, profound respect, "we have much to discuss." The room held its breath, suspended in that agonizing moment of shattered illusion, as the truth, once buried, now lay exposed for all to see, a stark, undeniable reality. The immediate aftermath of that boardroom confrontation was a maelstrom of necessary actions and painful repercussions that reverberated through the corporate world. Mark Thorne, stripped of his chief financial officer title and his employment at Sterling Innovations, Inc., was escorted from the building by security, his once confident stride replaced by a humiliated shuffle. The news of his dramatic downfall spread through the company and the broader financial community in Boston like wildfire. His carefully constructed professional image, meticulously built on lies and stolen achievements, shattered into 1,000 pieces. Within days, the legal machinery, now fully aware of the Fincian report and my irrefutable evidence, moved swiftly. Investigations into Mark's suspected money laundering and other illicit financial activities intensified. The specific audio recordings, the detailed financial ledgers, and the documented pattern of his past unethical conduct formed an overwhelming case against him. His professional licenses were immediately suspended, making it impossible for him to work in any reputable financial capacity. His reputation as a financial strategist was utterly annihilated. No firm would touch him, no client would trust him. The new promotion he had celebrated became a bitter public memory, its cost now measured in the destruction of his career and his future prospects. He faced not just unemployment, but serious legal repercussions. A profound fall from grace. My own life, after the initial shock, began a profound transformation. The chief financial officer position was within weeks formally offered back to me, complete with an apology from the board for their oversight. I accepted, not out of a desire for revenge, but for the principle of justice and to solidify my own meticulously planned retirement. My professional dignity was fully restored, even elevated. My final years at Sterling Innovations, Inc., leading up to 2029, were marked by renewed respect and profound acknowledgement from the board and my colleagues. I worked diligently, ensuring the company's financial health, knowing that I had secured my legacy not by climbing over others, but by standing firm on integrity and truth. As for Mark, his grand plans for wealth and power dissolved into a grim reality of consequences. I heard snippets of his life now and then, a desperate attempt to find consultancy work that quickly failed, a reported move to a smaller, less reputable city, perpetually struggling financially. His once smooth charm was gone, replaced by a bitter, defeated demeanor. The lavish lifestyle he once pursued, the very one he had plotted to build on the ruins of my career, became an unattainable dream. He was a pariah, haunted by the very name he had tried to make famous. His executive threat had turned into his personal and professional demise. He learned, in the hardest way possible, that true executive material is built on integrity, not on deceit and betrayal. My retirement in 2029 was everything I had envisioned and more. I left Sterling Innovations on my own terms, with a standing ovation from a grateful board and a company whose financial future I had helped safeguard. I owned my comfortable home in Boston, debt-free, with my retirement funds secure and substantial. The emotional scars remained, deep and indelible, a constant reminder of the profound betrayal. The bitter taste of corporate backstabbing lingered, but with each passing day, It was gradually replaced by the quiet satisfaction of justice served. My wife, Eleanor, who had stood by me through this ordeal, became an even stronger partner, our shared experience deepening our bond. We finally took those long-awaited cruises, enjoyed our garden, and explored new hobbies, embracing the golden years with genuine peace. Sometimes the most satisfying form of revenge isn't loud or violent. It's not about direct confrontation in the heat of the moment, but about watching karma settle the score quietly and completely. It's about patiently gathering the truth, strategically exposing the deceit, and witnessing the ripple effect of injustice return to its source. It's about seeing the very mechanisms of manipulation and greed turn against those who wielded them. It's about the profound, undeniable truth that corporate betrayal, no matter how carefully orchestrated, inevitably unravels, leaving behind only the cold, stark reality of a career undone by one's own corrupt hands. And in that quiet unfolding, there is a profound sense of justice served, not by my hand, but by the relentless, impartial hand of destiny and the unwavering commitment to truth. So that's my story. A journey through corporate betrayal, the fight for my professional legacy, and the long, cold reach of strategic justice. It's a narrative about ambition, deceit, and the ultimate triumph of integrity. Now, I turn to you. After hearing how my protégé tried to steal my career and reputation, what do you think? Was my approach to exposing him, striking at his core vulnerabilities, too harsh? Or was it the only justified path given his calculated deceit? Would you have handled this corporate betrayal differently, or perhaps sought another form of justice? Share your thoughts, your own experiences with workplace betrayal, and what you would have done in the comments below. Let's discuss the true meaning of corporate accountability. If this story resonated with you, if it stirred something within you, please give this video a thumbs up. Your engagement means a lot, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more true stories of resilience, unexpected twists of fate, and the enduring power of justice in all its forms. Make sure to hit that notification bell too, so you won't miss my next upload. Thank you for listening, for bearing witness to my journey,